Office hours. I think this is actually our second official one in as many weeks. Today, as always, I'm vCloud Matt Vandenbeld on the VMware vCloud customer success team. I think our group title will be changing here shortly, but that's what it is for now. Today, I'm joined by Clement Leung. Clement, do you want to give yourself an introduction?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Clement. I'm in the Customer Success Architect team here in Sydney, Australia. Been working on NSX type technologies for quite some time over the last few years as a PSO, professional services organization here within VMware. And now moved into the Customer Success Architect role to focus on the VMC product and I guess everything else associated with that.
Excellent. So he's one of the newer guys on our team, not no longer the newest. There's a couple more after you now. As the business picks up, we're hiring all across the world. We'll probably get some more in the APJ realm here soon. I think particularly in Japan we're looking as we're expanding our data center presence out there as well. So I didn't have too much of an agenda today, so it's kind of open. If anybody has any questions or anything that they want to see, we could definitely go over that. One of the things I kind of wanted to briefly cover, and you can see here that I'm logged into our vCenter. A lot of people don't know that we actually bundle in log intelligence, or as we call it, LINT, as its acronym. That actually gives you a bunch of stuff for free right out of the gate. So right here, you're kind of looking at my the shared dashboard. This is default dashboard that we have included with the product. If you were to look at the real-time logs, you can see that we're constantly streaming stuff in here. You can see me logging in. You can see some of our fleet management doing some stuff. So all these logs are available for free. There is, with the free version that's included in VMC, there is I believe it's a 1 gig retention, and it's 7 days of audit logs that it retains. This is a SaaS service, so this is identical to Log Insight on-prem, just as a SaaS offering, so something that you can pay for by the month. Again, I'm not the world's best sales guy in what the packages are and how that all works out, but it's as easy to activate as VMC with a credit card, or I think we've added POs and all those kinds of things now that you can get in there. Some of the little things that I kind of usually like to show off is you can see the default dashboard here. We have the VM removed or deleted, so in case you want to know if anybody is deleting stuff or removing stuff on you, or who did it, right? This is kind of a very important audit log. I pre-created that VM a little bit earlier just to save a little bit of time. Just a standard VM. We delete it. It's pretty close to real time on here. If we actually were to click onto this, we'll give it a second to possibly pop in. We have been doing a lot of stuff on our cluster, so we got up to 3 hosts. So if anybody's curious how to add a host, I threw a video on YouTube for how to do that. It's very easy. You just click the add host button. We're going to be adding a lot more of that content to our YouTube page, little short videos on how to do some of the more common operational tasks, and hopefully we'll get Clement in there to do perhaps some of the networking and security stuff for us. And we'll see if this has come in yet. Actually, it should have. It has. So you can actually see here. It's pretty quick. So you see a little blip. And if you were to go into here, you can see that Cloud Admin is who I'm logged in as, has delete me. So, I just wanted to kind of kick us off with kind of just a little demo like that, which is, again, I like something that a lot of people just didn't know that we kind of have out of the box. And you can actually have this send an alert. So we have a whole bunch of in the box alert definitions that you can configure to. You can see what the queries are and stuff like that, and it'll send out to S&P or any of those kind of things that you have set up, or you can just trigger an alert here so that the alerts pop up, and you actually see here that here's a recent alert, somebody deleted something. So actually, I think I might have turned off this alert. But you can see we got a whole bunch in here that have it. And one of the fancy functions of this too for people that either have Log Insight or Splunk or those kind of things on their on premises. So this is not in the free version, unfortunately. It's something that we're actually having discussions around the BU, and if this is something that people are really interested in, they could definitely give us that feedback. But you could take all of these things from the cloud and forward them to your on-premise. So right now we have a on-premise lab, so I could forward all of these logs in the cloud to our on-premises log intelligence instance, and or like I said, Splunk, and you just have to kind of things. Or if you have the cloud versions, you can actually forward this to Splunk in the cloud, or those kinds of things, and so you could have a centralized reporting or centralized monitoring for all of your cloud stuff. This also does feed into things like VROPS, into Cloud Health, into Wavefront, all of those kinds of things. We're really bringing together a lot of that cloud story. And the cool thing with stuff like Cloud Health is you can actually see it across clouds. So if you have a AWS presence and unfortunately an Azure presence and a whole bunch of VMC presences, you could actually get that all monitored by Cloud Health kind of over and above. That does, in some cases, a little bit more, especially with Wavefront integration, a little bit more application type monitoring over and above kind of infrastructure monitoring is included. The other nice thing about LINT that is nice is that so it's one LINT for all for all of your organizations. So if I were to go into here, this is Z's SDDC, and go in and create a VM here and blow it up, you'll see it in the same lint instance. So there's no other configuration you need to do. You don't need multiple lint instances or anything like that. Clement, you do know you can talk, right? You don't have to chat questions.
Yeah, I thought I'd just send it not to interrupt you because you were on a roll there, Matt. So I thought I'd.
No, jump in and interrupt me at any time.
Okay.
So, do you want to repeat your question for everybody?
Yeah, so I noticed that on the endpoint URL there for forwarding of syslog, there is an example there of HTTP. Just curious as to whether or not for our customers, they're able to forward secure syslogs to their on-premises environment or syslog collector.
So, it's a good question. And to be honest, I actually don't know. So that's something that I'll have to look up. I would believe so. Again, I would have to kind of go through a whole bunch of configuration here to see if we could probably put this into an HTTPS. But yeah, that's a very good question, and I apologize that I don't know that off the top of my head. So maybe we'll have to do a little bit of research.
Yeah, so what we could do, I mean, I can take that action and research that and put into the comments after this.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I can't get to Z's SDDC because he has it set up on a different VPN, so we won't be able to demo that, unfortunately. Let's get another SDDC here. Yeah, and for those of you in Twitch chat and stuff as well, if there's anything you guys would like to see or ask, absolutely don't hesitate. One of the funny things was, so this used to be typoed, but right here you can actually see how easy it is. So this is on by default. But this could actually get you all of the NSXT firewall logs as well. So this is kind of part one of getting the NSXT firewall logs is the enabled button here. The other part is actually, if you go into here, and I'll go just pick this one. Actually, I think this is in Zero Cloud, but it doesn't really matter. Zero Cloud is kind of our fake cloud where it doesn't actually procure hardware. It just kind of simulates it for us. But if you actually go into the gateway firewall here, you can actually see logging's disabled, and it's disabled by default. But you could just go in and hit edit and click it to enabled. And then once you do that, all of those logs will go to your LINT instance. So the reason we kind of have these off by default is that obviously these can generate a lot of logs potentially. And there can be a lot of noise and stuff in there, and that's kind of one of the nice things about the log forwarding as well. And this is actually where we see a lot of our customers leverage the lint in the cloud, particularly for VMC. Is as opposed to getting all of the logs, you can actually go in here and use filters. So you can do it by STD CID, you can do it by a log type, or by text. So you can actually go through and specify only the ones you want to go through. So if you have Splunk on premises, and we know that Splunk usually, well, they do charge by the capacity of logs, right? So you can have all of the fire hose come into Lint and use it as a funnel to bring out only the pieces that you really want to then go to your on-premises, either Lint or Splunk, so that you get a cleaner or only the stuff that your security guys really care about, and save on some of that capacity and potentially some of your costs. So that's a common use case that we see people leveraging Lint for in the cloud, and even to some degree on premises as well. A lot of people actually have purchased this on premises, installed it just to filter the amount of logs that go into um, uh, their local Splunk, just to save themselves some money. Now, again, we'll always try to convince people that to use just log intelligence or log insight, because it's a very robust, very cool technology. Um,
And Matt, I suppose as a logging service that gets delivered as a service, one of the benefits of it is that all your components within the SDDC are automatically configured to send syslogging directly to that component, because it's already aware of that, and no need to do that yourself.
yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up. You don't have to add hosts or yeah. There's no configuration. It's literally it's in here. You're good. It's going to go into Lint. We are working on, so as well as over above VMC, there is a greater initiative to have a lot of those, all of our logs across a lot of our SaaS platform. Maybe not all, but the great majority actually going to Lint as well. So we're really trying to make Lint that central repository. If you have CAS or uh, uh, network intelligence, or network insight, I think. Can't remember what we call this in the cloud now. Yeah, network insight. Sorry, on prem it's anyway. So all of these logs will eventually go to Lint as well. So you'll have one central place to view all of your stuff. So I'm just kind of going in here, and I'm not 100% sure this will work just because this is in Zero Cloud, but this should also go into Lint. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about, Clement?
No, Network Insight itself is probably, we could do that as another session later on, but that's obviously a very useful tool to look at your traffic patterns and top talkers and doing reports on that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think we actually did a Lint presentation a couple months ago, but it's probably worth doing a refresher. I guess that's the one nice thing is, and for everybody kind of watching the recording, is this is our office hours where we kind of just play around, answer questions, and demo off some stuff. But every other week, so every 2 weeks, we actually do a more formal webinar where we'll bring in people from our business units or people from our team to present on um, a more formal presentation on a particular product. And the nice thing with the pace of change is we never really run out of content, because we did an HCX one like 4 months ago, and we just did another one on Tuesday. That's up on the YouTube channel for anybody that wants to look at HCX and how to configure service mesh, which is a new thing. So there is just constant updating. So we're probably due for another Lint type demo. I'd like to see a cloud health one. I'm trying to get that to happen as well. I'm actually trying to come up with the content for our next month's webinar. So if anybody has any feedback or suggestions, absolutely fire it my way.
And I'd certainly highly recommend the recent one done by Dustin, one of our colleagues, on the service mesh. That's very informative on a service that we currently have experimental, but it's really good for wanting to do your HCX over a private interconnect, or private direct connect rather.
So you can see here's my delete me too. So, and yes, Dustin did a fantastic job of that HCX service mesh. it's actually already quite a few views on YouTube, and quite a good bunch of good feedback. And that's going to be the new way that H6 is going to be deployed. So you can see here, I did nothing to configure this. It all came into the same lint instance. Here's my delete me too. So, like I said, it's kind of handy. Like I said, there is a lot of built-in stuff that you can have in here. There's dashboards you can create, all kinds of stuff. So, definitely recommend at least knowing about it. And like I said, with the free version, the retention's not fantastic, so some of the events will filter out pretty quick, but it is definitely worth looking at as a purchase item because, like I said, if you really want to know who deleted something or when a VM was deleted, it's invaluable in that regard.
Just a question there, Matt, on the free trial. I believe that it is a 30-day free trial.
So there's two, and I apologize if I'm kind of going in and out of verbiage a little bit. So there is a free trial. So there's a 30-day free trial for all of the features on if you want to experience the totality of log intelligence. But there is a free version of Lint included with VMC that never expires, but it is limited. So, like I said, so there is always a free version with Lint, but there is a reduced. And I'll actually look up right now the differences between the two of them to show everybody. But there is always a free version of log intelligence included with VMC that you could pay for the full version, or you could get a 30-day free trial just to kick the tires. So does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. I've actually got the link here. I could post that on the chat.
Sure, that'd be handy. I can hear you angry typing.
Yeah, I think it's just one of these MacBook. They make really noisy keyboards these days.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, so here we go. This is exactly what we were talking about. Decide to refresh on me. So you can see here this is the Lint core. So this is what is included with your VMC on AWS subscription. So unlimited audit logs. The log retention is 7 days, so it's not quite unlimited, but so 7 days of audit logs. Non-auto log connection is 1 gig, so that's why we make sure that we don't turn everything on in you, because 1 gig can actually fill up really quick if you turn on kind of all of the logging that's available. And then you can see here that we have the 30-day free trial, right? So where things go to unlimited, you get 30 days worth of log retention, and all of the other, I didn't need to table it up better, all of the various functionality. And like I said, so this one is the big one, the event forwarding. That's what you get when you go up to the free, or sorry, the paid version. And you can see it is a price per gig per month. So that's how we have decided to sell it out. And again, this is on demand, so you can turn it on and turn it off really as you see fit. But if there's definitely some bonuses to paying up front for it. So very cost effective, but like I said, at the very, 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 very least, you get this for free with part of VMC. So with VMC, you get this for free. You get HCX to migrate in and out of the cloud for free. I think that's about all that's included currently. You can tack on services like DR as a service, Wavefront, Cloud Health. All of these things are becoming more and more Network Insight. So Network Insight's a very popular offering that we have. I don't know if I actually have this configured, so this might be interesting to see. Let's see if there's anything in here. This one is really, really good. Yeah, unfortunately, sorry, I don't have this much of this configured. And Clement might know this better than I do of the Network Insight stuff. But where we see a lot of people, especially using the free 30-day trial, and we prefer people to kind of use it a little bit more, is when you're planning your migrations, this is a fantastic tool to use because this will actually, do an analysis of all of your virtual machines. And where they talk to and who they talk to. which obviously is a you talk to your application guys on and they say, okay, what does the server talk to, and they'll maybe name you a couple things or say I don't know, and from there they'll you'll migrate some VMs to realize that this thing talks to a database that's on a server that you had no idea about, and the application's all of a sudden having all kinds of problems. So this really, really, really assists in doing planned migration tasks, so you know what's all moving and all those kind of things. This also helps to see if you get like a big bill from us on egress traffic, who's doing it. So that we're building more integrations around this to be able to do some more costing and again boiling it into Cloud Health to get all that visibility, so that you kind of have a little bit more. Uh, you know what's coming, or you can plan for things a little bit better, or do some stuff to mitigate some of the costs that you have going. So I don't know how. Do you have a lot of familiarity with Network Insight?
Look, I haven't played it around with it as much as I'd like to, but yeah, it's probably something that would be useful for and beneficial for everybody else. Maybe perhaps on the next office hours, I could do something on Network Insight.
Yeah, that'd be good. Like I said, I apologize that I don't have much of this configured currently. It was at one time, but we in our group we were constantly blowing things up and recreating them for various reasons. So, anybody got any questions out there? Any comments? You can see here we're adding a lot. So this is probably not indicative of what a lot of people see on theirs. This is a lot of our stuff in here. So, but we're continually adding new SaaS services to our offering. And maybe I'll let Clement chat for a second while I grab a drink.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just looking at those services there obviously is building, as Matt is mentioning, there's more and more services that are coming up to within VMC. One of the ones that I'm really looking forward to is the cloud PKS one there that you see, the form where it says formerly VKE. So that's going to be I don't know how much experience the audience have had with containers and microservices, and I guess the new age application frameworks. But if you've ever played with it, PKS, I guess just really quickly, is the ability to stand up Kubernetes clusters, and Cloud PKS is going to be an easier as a service delivery mechanism through VMC, which is going to be quite exciting. So you don't have to worry about, as an operator, to have to manage that Kubernetes cluster. So definitely one of those that would be good for an office hours.
Yeah, that's a really good point too, because one of the things we try to communicate to our customers is VMware is cloud native ready, I guess, for lack of a better term. So just because you have things in EC2 doesn't mean you're cloud native, and just because you have things on VMware doesn't mean you're not cloud native. VMware Cloud PKS definitely is our major step into that, I guess, cloud native public cloud type of application deployment. Would that be an accurate statement?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's worth a session in of its own. I know one of our really good Kubernetes guys as well, Michael Gash. I'll try to rope him into to help him present. Now, unfortunately, he's in EMEA, so that might be tough for for you APJ guys to try to find a time that aligns. That's always our constant fight here. So, but yeah. So again, the platform is ever expanding. We're going to get more and more services in SaaS, and it's really going to be. Again, it's really going to be a cloud native type experience if that's what you want, or it's kind of a regular infrastructure as a service, if that's what you kind of want, right? So we kind of have both sides of that coin now, which I think is pretty exciting in my opinion. So, and I know most of our vSphere administrators just really want to get into here and play around with stuff anyway. So that's kind of the traditional view they're used to, whereas we're kind of going into more of the portal-based web world like an AWS.
Yeah, and that's exactly the offering and the intent for Cloud PKS to be as simple as possible and self-service. Um, on the complete other end of the spectrum to one of our more recent announcements of Essential PKS, which is pretty much doing Kubernetes within your on-premises environment, but a complete vanilla build and with assistance from VMware. So we have that full spectrum of that portfolio there for Kubernetes consumption.
Yeah, and I guess that's something to bear in mind as well is there's actually nothing to stop you from installing Kubernetes on VMware Cloud right now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, we've had some customers do that. We've had some people play around with it. So, I mean, it's not like you have to wait for PKS to kind of get Kubernetes on there, but it's a more robust version, I guess, more supported version. I guess maybe a better
Yeah,
way of saying
and the
it.
lifecycle management of it, exactly.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of all of the stuff that I kind of wanted to get out there today. I don't know if there's anything anybody wants to see. Is there anything you want to see or talk about, Clement? Or
Not particularly, but I would really encourage for people who watch the video or who is online, just send us some feedback on what you'd like to see, especially with this region now coming to the point where we are seeing a lot of customers deploy it, and it's a fairly new technology for them. Any kind of I guess hiccups that you run into or anything that you just kind of want more information on, just let us know. And yeah, we're quite flexible and we can present here on office hours for what you want to see.
yeah, or absolutely, or just feel free to join us and you can ask the question live if that's more your flavor as well. And we can get a little bit more interactive on it. And like Clement said, we just really started kicking this off a couple weeks ago, so we understand it'll take a little while for it to catch on and for people to kind of get more interested in it, and it'll probably ebb and flow. But we'll always be here, and hopefully, and I'm throwing Clement under the bus here that hopefully I could let him take over in our APJ region. We are also looking at potentially, and this is a good spot for more feedback as well, splitting out Japan into its own office hours because we understand that not a lot of people from Japan do speak English, so we're trying to get some native Japanese speakers to do that. So that's a potentially coming thing as well for anybody watching the recording. And if that's definitely something of interest to you, definitely let me know, and we'll definitely try to make it happen as we go, depending on the feedback and stuff. Because I only speak one language, and I don't even speak that one very well. I don't know if Clement speaks anything other than Aussie.
Um, I speak Aussie well, but I speak Cantonese, but very poorly. So I certainly don't want to be presenting anything in Cantonese.
Oh, well, all right. We do actually have one member of our team is CSM who does speak Japanese, and we are, like I said, looking at hiring out that way. So definitely stay tuned to that realm. But as it stands right now, we'll keep doing this APJ one. And I assume that we'll pick up a little bit more as we expand our data centers into India as well. We currently had a little bit of a delay there, I think, on the Mumbai data center, but that should be coming online very quickly. So, again, we're expanding across the world, and we're definitely expanding our customer base. We have lots and lots of people picking up this platform. And we just, like I said, like I always say, we're here to answer any questions and, help you get on board or answer questions and help you growing into other services or anything of those kinds of things. So, I guess one last thing I could touch on here as well, and I'm actually going to be doing a video on this here shortly, is a lot of people actually get confused by the cluster versus the SDDC, right? So, if we go back to our SDDC list, you can actually think of the SDDC as a data center, right? You can actually, as a software-defined data center, it's kind of in the name, but the term SDDC has kind of become so, it's like cloud, right? It can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but so the SDDC itself is kind of a data center, and within the SDDC, here you could actually see we only have one cluster running, but you can actually add another cluster to it. So the benefit of doing things this way is this is another cluster, and like I said, I'll demo this a little bit later. I put it up to YouTube. I suppose I could do it now and delete it, but once it comes in, it'll just become another cluster in the same vCenter you're running right now. So all of the firewall rules that you've configured on the SDDC on the perimeter will apply. It all becomes part of the same virtual distributed switch, so the NSXT virtual switch, I guess we call it NVDS. And so all of that stuff and all that communication just works out of the box. You don't have to, if you, right, because we recommend a cap of 16 hosts in a cluster. But when you get to 16, you don't have to spin up another SDDC. You can just come in here and make another 16 node SDDC. Or you'll actually always have to start at, it's interesting that it has 2 in there. Usually it starts at 3. So you'll kick it out. So and then from there you can just keep adding host till you get to the capacity you want. But I find that not a lot of people kind of know that exists or even understand. And currently this is the only way to add the new R5 host type as well. And you can see in the data center that I'm in, I don't actually have permission to the R5 hosts right now because we're holding them all for customers. They don't let us play with the fun stuff sometimes. But you can get in here, you can deploy an R5 cluster, you can deploy another i3 cluster. When we get more host types, you can deploy more in here. And currently you can deploy 20 clusters into your SDDC. So we used to have a cap at 10, and I think there still is a soft cap at 10, but it is extendable to 20. And again, the huge advantage of that is it's all the same SDDC. So all of those management tasks that you have to do, firewalls, distributed firewalls, any of those kind of things, the VPN configurations, your direct connects will all work. So I don't know. Do you think a lot of people knew that, Clement, or is that you think that's news to some people?
Just creating new clusters in general, you mean?
Well, within the SDDC.
Yeah. Look, I think I haven't seen it in this region, obviously, because a lot of customers are still in the early phases. But I definitely can see that people will want to do that. It's just separating the clusters, just really for administrative purposes. I know a lot of banks love to do that, just to give them a sense that it's different. I mean, at the end of the day, if you create a separate cluster, you do have a separate data store and so forth. So it provides a level of protection. So I can see that people would use that. And another comment, just interestingly on the page that where Matt added the cluster, you would have noticed that there wasn't any call to action for additional IP addressing. So that's something that you've already specified as part of the SCD stand-up, which
Yeah,
is
and
good.
that's why it's very important. That's a very good point. That's also very, very important, and we can never emphasize this enough, and I should bring it up in every stream and every office hours, is that's why it's really good to plan out that management subnet first for the amount of total hosts they're going to have in an SDDC. So we support the slash 16 20 23, but if you go with a slash 23, you're only going to have 27 hosts worth of capacity. Now, that could be 2 clusters, it could be 3 clusters, it could be 5 clusters, but at that point you'll run out of management IP addresses. That's why we usually recommend people go with at least a slash 20, which I think gives 270 hosts, 250 something, essentially enough to fill up an SDDC anyway. So that's kind of the safe number as long as you can allocate that amount of addresses. And if you really want to be, go crazy, you can go to the 16, and I think it's like 4,000 hosts or something like that. Which is actually more than you'll actually probably ever be able to get into a single SDDC.
That's a very, very common question that we get as well, because I think a lot of customers or people who are standing them up for the first time just don't realize how many IP addresses go into actually creating all of this, I guess, management and control plane
Yeah, so
and
that's
the
a good
data.
question, and I don't have our AWS account open, but so all of our hosts get an IP address, all of the management pieces. So that's the HCX stuff also comes out of the management stuff now as well. SR or DR as a service, and also we use that management IP address spaces to create ENIs in the AWS VPC for that cross link. So there is actually quite a lot of those, and it was, I believe it's Michael on our team, Michael Colas, has put together a great article. It's actually up on my blog at vcloudbat.com, and it's also on the cloud blog itself around some of those sizing considerations. But that's why we, in general, recommend a /20. And I know some companies have, uh, some reservations or some issues getting that big of a range dedicated to something. But it's definitely something that's worthy of the consideration because it cannot be changed afterwards. So once it's in, it's in. And actually, I could probably show where that goes in while we're hitting here. If I just hit the Create SDDC button. Let's pick North Virginia. I'll pick Zero Cloud. We'll go next. I'll skip that for now just to get to here. So you can see that's where we have our ranges in there, and we also do have some reserve side ranges, and I know a couple of our customers have actually run into this one as well. So it's kind of important to note that we reserve these two ranges for some of our internal stuff. So as long as it's anything outside of these ranges, it could really be anything that you want it to be. But like I said, we definitely recommend the /20 because that'll allow you to expand essentially to the maximum size of the SDDC without any kind of issues. A lot of people think, well, 27 hosts, that's a lot. Well, you never know, right? A lot of our customers have started off fairly small, realized the benefit of the service that we're offering and a lot of the performance they're getting, and all of a sudden just pick up, and then they hit a hard stop because they're like, oh, our management slider is too small, so now I got to spin out another SDDC, and now that segmentation of workloads becomes a lot harder to do when your management gets more complex and all of those kinds of fun things. So that's about all I can spiel for 37 minutes. Again, if there's any questions, any feedback, we do have the cloudcs@vmware.com email address you can email us at. I'm at vcloudmatt on Twitter. You can get a hold of me there. Clement, do you have a Twitter account?
Unfortunately, not yet, but I'm guessing. I'm guessing I should set one up.
Half this team doesn't have a Twitter account. I understand there's some reservations about Twitter and social media, especially nowadays, but it is a handy tool to kind of get a hold of people and to keep track of kind of what's going on, especially with the speed of this industry. Keeping up is definitely more than a full-time job. I can attest to that. But yeah, if you email us at the Cloud CS, we'll definitely get it, and or leave a YouTube comment or type to us on Twitch or any of those kinds of things. And again, we want to be as responsive as possible to everybody and show off a lot of things. So that's why we did HCX last week, because I know that's a very, very, very common ask. Soon we'll probably be demonstrating some of the cloud-to-cloud migration things, because that's coming up. With our NSX V to T migration. Anybody that buys in now is going to be natively on T, which is good, but for some of our older customers, they're going through upgrade of V to T. And yeah, that's about all I had for today. So I guess in the absence of any questions, we can probably call it a little bit early. We'll be back here again next week. Hopefully Clement can make it here as well. Our next session is going to be America's office hours, and that's going to be a Tuesday coming up at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Then it'll be EMEA on Wednesday, and then APJ, and then, like I said, Thursday. Then the week after that, we'll have a formal webinar. The formal webinar is supposed to be APJ time. So does this time work for most of the APJ region, Clement? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so it's a good time. It starts at 9:45 at the moment. So I'm trying to work out, actually, with daylight saving ending, it might become 8:45. So we may have to shift it an hour, but we'll see.
Okay, just let me know what works, because especially for the webinar next week, because again, we're doing more from a webinar, and it'll be in the APJ time, so maybe we'll bump this back an hour or something. And topic to be determined, so that'll be in 2 weeks' time. And yeah, that's all I got. I appreciate everybody for coming out. I appreciate Clement for joining in and giving me someone to chat with at least, and appreciate your insights.
Thanks. Thanks, Matt.
And I appreciate everybody's time coming out and everybody that's watching the recording. Like I said, let us know any feedback, and thanks again. Talk to everyone later.
Thank you. Bye.